45 by.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Today, warm and dry weather will be with us one more day to start the week, with more clouds lowering temperatures slightly at or just below records in the mid to upper 80s. Northwesterly winds will be lighter at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight will be partly cloudy, winds turning from the south to the northwest, becoming breezy at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Lows will be in the lower 40s. Tomorrow, gusty north winds 20 to 30, gusting to 40 miles per hour. Be partly cloudy, noticeably cooler with highs in the upper 50s to low 60s and lows around freezing. Wednesday, a stronger spring system will bring chances for rain during the day and snow overnight, with highs in the lower 50s and lows around 30. Thursday through Saturday will be windy, dry, and seasonal, with highs in the upper 50s and low 60s and lows 30 to 35. This is meteorologist Chris Schromick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Winter weather in northwestern Kansas can change in a hurry. From blowing snow and icy roads to dangerous wind chills, conditions can turn severe before you know it. When storms strike, turn to NWKS Radio, your trusted source for weather alerts and local coverage. Stay safe, stay prepared, and keep your radio tuned right here for the latest updates all winter long. Severe weather on NWKS Radio is courtesy of Roof Masters of Colby, along with Andrew Flanagan of Farm Bureau Financial Services.
At Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic, they believe in promoting healthier living through compassionate quality care. From the art maternity care to life-saving emergency services, their dedicated team is there for you and your family. Whether it's managing diabetes, navigating recovery, or receiving specialized treatments, they're committed to your well-being. Discover the difference a community-focused hospital can make. Visit rayhospital.org today to learn more. Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic. Your health, our priority. Irrigators, after 50 years, when you look in the mirror, you might see that your hair is thinning. And the same can be said for your well casing after 50 years of pumping. A thinning well casing can lead to the well collapsing and needing to be re-drilled. So to keep from pulling your hair out, now is the time to visit with the boys at Western Sprinklers about relining your well before it's too late. Also, visit with them about their diversified ag assurance, where you can insure pivots up to 34 years old. Irrigation isn't a sideline, it's their specialty.
That's Western Sprinklers of Colby.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pest Away in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pest Away today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
2 words, prostate exam. Did your butt just clench? Relax. Screening starts with a simple, finger-free blood test. Around 1 in 8 men in the United States will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. But don't clench. Prostate cancer can have over a 99% 5-year relative survival rate when caught at a localized or regional stage. If you're 40 or older and have a prostate, visit RelaxIt'sABloodTest.com to see if a PSA blood test is right for you. Talk to your doctor about screening and next steps. Sponsored by Novartis.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Give me my cane. I'll show you how to play this game.
The High Plains only local sports talk show. Broadcasting live on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Covering it all from the preps to the pros.
Cowgirls hunting them, and they're finding them. Stargell with another 3.
The Blitz is presented by Hurl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, along with
Pestaway LLC, Topside Portables and Pumping, Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell, and the Insurance Agency.
Let's go to work.
Bear down, Arizona. For the first time since 2001, the Arizona Wildcats are going to the Final Four.
A lot of movement without the ball. Wood gets it to Jackson. A dribble, a pump fake. The three from the right wing. Around the rim and in at the buzzer. A buzzer beater for the Blue Devils is sending them to the Elite Eight.
Brad Underwood embraces his assistants in front of the Illini bench. Final 2 seconds as the party has begun. The Fighting Illini have punched their ticket to Indianapolis.
Driven into left center field, sending Decker back. Does it have enough? It does! A grand slam!
And UConn got a steal. Caravan for Mullins. Long three. He got it. Oh, he got it. He hit it. He hit the long three-pointer from the logo with 0.3 of a second left to go. I don't believe it. UConn has taken the lead.
And good Monday morning, everybody. We are back and rolling here on another edition of the Morning Blitz on this final Monday of March the 30th. Nice spring-like morning out here this Monday morning. Temperature sitting currently, around 46 degrees, but the sun is starting to make its way out. We'll get to a high in the mid-80s here on this Monday morning. Hope everyone had a great weekend, was productive. I mean, I had a pretty good weekend personally. I was pretty productive. I was able to get we had a lot of laundry had to get done this weekend at the Volkmer household. We did get that accomplished. And then I had a little bit of yard work that I did on Friday. Would have liked to have gotten more done over the course of the weekend, but man, it was really windy Saturday. And probably the biggest reason why at this point in time, I don't have any more room in my grass bin thing that I'd like to dump my grass in. And so it's like, I'll have to wait till that gets dumped, I think, later on this week. But nonetheless, a good weekend overall. Hope yours was a good one as well. My gosh, how about the finish of that UConn game? Man, that was crazy. The call there you heard just a few moments ago, that was absolutely nuts. With that 35-foot three-pointer to wrap up kind of a crazy sports weekend, which we now know are Final Four in the NCAA tournament. Illinois, UConn in one semifinal, Arizona, Michigan, which honestly could be a national championship game in the other. But yeah, our Final Four is set for this upcoming next Saturday when the Final Four will resume. FB Bank text line open at 785-899-2222 if you want to be part of the Morning Blitz and you would like to chime in with your thoughts, your comments, would like to hear about your weekend, your winners, your losers from the sports week. Would love to hear all that throughout the course of the show. So the F&B Bank text line is always open at 785-899-2222. Lots to get to in today's program. We were scheduled to have good friend Joe Tillery on the program. We're going to have to kick that back to possibly later this week or next week. Joe is having some health issues here this morning. I was given pretty much the information on that about 5 minutes ago. He texted and said, "I'm not feeling the best and I'm going to the hospital." So, all right, buddy, you go get that taken care of, and we will make our way through. So we've got our weekend winners and losers to get to today, some stuff to get to in the leftovers, our typical Monday show here on the Morning Blitz. Let's get rolling. We got weekend winners and losers to get to with our weekend winners from this great previous weekend in the world of sports.
there are two kinds of people in this world.
There's winners and there's losers.
Which ones were which this past weekend?
I want winners. Loser? You're a loser.
It's the weekend's winners and losers on the Morning Blitz.
You want to be a winner, be a winner.
All right, we get rolling here on a Monday morning with our weekend winners. We will get losers in segment number 2. We will also get to a couple of thoughts and questions from the FB Bank text line that have already rolled in here this morning. Winners, not as much winners as I do on the loser side from this previous weekend, but Going to start with my first winner of the weekend. A shout, we've I don't want to say called out. That's not the right word, but these guys have been a part of the losers of the weekend for the previous couple of weekends due to the fact they've just struggled to find the win column and given up an abundance of runs. But Colby Community College baseball, a winner of the weekend this weekend. Mentioned on Friday's show that the Trojans were able to get their first Jayhawk Conference win and wins with a sweep of Barton there in Colby on Thursday, where they won in a couple of shootouts, 18-17 and 15-12. Then they were able to win their first series of the Jayhawk Conference series of the season as they were able to defeat Barton 6-5 and then lost in game number 4. Couldn't quite get the sweep done, 12-8. The 6-5 game looks more like a baseball score, but it's not a score that we've typically seen from Colby this year. The Trojans with a huge, big top of the third where they scored 4 runs, highlighted by their star player, Turner Zadunich, with a 2 RBI single, and then he was able to steal his way to second, and then they were able to kind of get on the run to come in to score as well there in the third, or a couple more runs to come in to score there in the third as well. So Jake Brooks had an RBI, Zadunich had 2 more, and then they kind of did an old Canadian steal to get to another run. They got 4 runs there in the top of the third inning, and then they were able to hold on despite giving up 4 runs over the final 3 frames. 6-5, the final, they get it done. Great performance out of the bullpen from I think it's Schrader, 4 1/3 gave up 4 runs on 6 hits with 4 strikeouts, a couple walks. He got the win, but a good performance from him to come in relief of Anthony DeBlois. And so they were able to, whereas Colby, get their first series victory in the Jayhawk Conference, so with a game 3 victory over Barton, and then they lost in game number 4 to Barton. They were shut down. The bats went cold. They were struck out 13 times in game 4 as they lose 12-8. But hey, the Trojans get their first conference win first conference series win, I should say, of the season. They are now 10-20 overall and 3-13 in league play. A lot of work to do on that front. But nonetheless, to finally kind of get that monkey off their back after being swept by Hutchinson and Butler and Cloud, which I don't know where all those teams stack up. I guess it's free information. I'll look that up. I don't know where exactly all these teams stack up when you look at the baseball standings. And I'll pull that up here real quickly. I don't know if those were the top 3 teams. I mean, Hutch and Cloud are at the top. Butler's one of the top 4. So, you've played 3 out of the top 4 teams in the Jayhawk Conference standings at this point in time. Hutch is 11-1. Cloud is 14-2. And Butler's 11-5. Seward's the only other team up there that Colby hasn't played yet. They're 9-3. But Barton was going into this weekend. They were 7-5. So they were kind of in the middle of the pack. You're able to get a win there. So shout out to Colby Community College baseball winners of the weekend, as they're able to find a way to pick up 3 W's to just 1 loss and win that first conference game of the season. Trojans, by the way, try to carry that momentum into today. They have a single 9-inning game there at Young Memorial Field. They host McCook Community College at 3:00 Central Time. Then they will go to Seward County this coming Thursday for their next series of the season. So shout out Colby Community College baseball, our first winners of the weekend. Second winner of the weekend, a great story. There was I didn't put this in my losers, but a big loser of the weekend was Tiger Woods early in the weekend, where there was he was drinking and driving and rolled another car. I mean, it's not good for Tiger. He's not in a very good spot. But it was a great story for the world of golf on Sunday when Kansas's own Gary Woodland won the Houston Open this weekend in dominant fashion. He won, did Gary Woodland. And the story is and Gary hadn't won in over 6+ years since he'd won at the U.S. Open. It had been over 6 years. And in those 6 years here, particularly over the last over 2 years, 30 months to be exact, it's been a rough go for Gary Woodland. The Kansas native, 2-sport star who played basketball and golf, and had some really good showings early in his career, has really struggled with some mental issues in the game, pretty much because of a lesion that he had on his brain. They found, he was having these issues with fearing for his life. majority. For a long time, he just felt like he was constantly going to die. And come to find out, he had lesions on his brain that were calling that. He had to have surgery to remove those lesions on his brain, and he did. And ever since then, he's been dealing with PTSD, which he explained. I give a lot of credit. No one knew that he was dealing with PTSD until about a couple weeks ago when he brought up in a news conference that he said he'd been really dealing with it. And a reporter wisely brought up the question of what is PTSD on the golf course. And Gary did a great job of explaining it. It was fascinating to hear this part of the interview, but he said something along the lines of, particularly in that tournament this past weekend, on Friday, he says on the second day of the tournament, he says, I had a moment, it was, I think it was hole number 11, and the crowd was really close behind me. And, I felt like someone was going to, I felt like something was going to get me because the crowd was so close and in proximity to me. And luckily I've got my own security and the PGA security that allowed me to kind of get through that. He had a moment where he had to go cry it out for a little bit away from everything and then come back and finish. It's a fascinating story. I mean, you should really read more about it. But for him to go on and win his first tournament since having brain surgery and dealing with PTSD and all the things that he has dealt with, unfortunately, a great story of perseverance, a great story of not giving up. So Gary Woodland, a massive winner of the weekend as he dominates at the Houston Open. Could mean good things for the Masters. The Masters are coming up here in a couple of weeks, and telling you, if you get a win a week or two before a major, that usually means you're feeling pretty good about stuff, and that means that you could have a pretty good showing. Now, I don't know if Gary can play in the Masters, honestly, because I don't think he's won this tournament, so now he can. That might mean a really great thing for Gary Woodland. He might just be able to put on the green jacket because of a win this close to the Masters. But congratulations to him. His win is not really the money or the trophy on the golf course. His win is the mental victory and the hurdles that he has had to overcome over the course of the last 30 months, the mental and physical hurdles. And to get a win is got to be really dealing for him. He was just saying, if you don't give up, keep fighting, all that stuff. It's a great story. Gary Woodland, a winner of the weekend. Our final winner of the weekend here on this Monday, March the 30th. I got to give a shout out to Nebraska Diamond Sports. That would mean baseball and softball. First and foremost, a great weekend for Nebraska softball, who had a super regional type feel in Lincoln at Bowlin Stadium as they hosted UCLA. So it's pretty much the two best teams in the Big Ten squaring off this past weekend up in Nebraska, and the weather was perfect for this, especially with UCLA coming down. It was a little cool, a little brisk. And so Nebraska took complete advantage of that. They came from behind on a 3-run. They had a 3-run blast. I think it was yesterday. They had another big home run on Friday. They lost Saturday, but they still take 2 out of 3 over UCLA, and that puts them now atop of the Big Ten in a great position to win the Big Ten. And for teams like Nebraska, these type of series are huge because you're trying to solidify. I mean, Nebraska is a top 10 ranked team in softball, but you're trying to solidify your spot into possibly hosting a regional, maybe even a super regional, if you're in those top, 8 positions. So this was huge for them to get this win. They're able to get it done against UCLA. So Nebraska softball with a huge weekend, taking 2 out of 3 from UCLA. And there is not many teams, there probably are some, but there's not many teams hotter than Nebraska baseball coming off of this previous weekend. Nebraska sweeps Indiana 3-0, but they have now won 17 of 18 games. They only lost coming to Michigan in a series opening loss, 2 weekends ago. They lost 2-1 up in Michigan, but then they won the last 2 to win that series. They are playing great baseball. They are dominating and really just playing all around great ball. They are a gritty team, definitely not a pretty team, but they find a way to get it done. But winners of 17 of 18 in a baseball season is a hard thing to do. And they're led by a great story. Senior shortstop Dylan Carey has been a really good player for Nebraska his entire career. Even as a freshman, came in and started at shortstop. He's been a really key piece in the lineup for hitting and for defense. He's been very good. Last year, after a solid junior campaign, he tested the Major League Baseball draft waters and got nothing. He did not get drafted. He did not get drafted in the MLB draft, which was a surprise to him and to many that he did not get drafted because he had a solid year. He had solid resume for 3 years, but he did not get drafted. Now, the Major League Baseball draft is a lot smaller than it used to be. It's still pretty decent sized, but Dylan Carey did not get drafted. He came back this year in his senior year with absolute vengeance. Absolute vengeance.
What exactly happened
on the Hurl Chevrolet
with that
GMC
delay as
Edition.
Carey launches this one into deep
yesterday
left center at the wall. It's
against
gone.
Indiana in the bottom of the 7th blue. That game
Dylan Carey launches a granny.
But he has come back with absolute vengeance here in his senior campaign. Talk about a guy who's out to prove something. This guy is slugging over 700 with 42 RBI, which I looked at the stats yesterday. That would put him at what would be number 4 or 5 in the NCAA in RBI with 42 and 20 extra base hits. He now holds the record for career doubles, surpassing his coach, Will Bolt. I did that this weekend as well. But Dylan Carey is a great story because of a guy who got overlooked, even though it probably deserved to get drafted, didn't get drafted, and then has come back with an absolute vengeance. And who knows, might be putting himself in the top, 5 to 10 rounds of the Major League Baseball draft, which would be huge for him. So Nebraska Diamond Sports, my final winner of the weekend. My goodness, you just talk about just a great showing from Nebraska Diamond Sports. Softball getting those 2 wins out of 3 over UCLA, and then the baseball winning 17 of 18 against Indiana. And they've got some they've got some tough games ahead. They've got here in a couple weeks. I think they've got Oregon on the road at Oregon. They've got to take on the rival Creighton, which is always very tough. But Nebraska baseball is being really good here early on in the season. We'll see if that trend continues. By the way, also a winner of the weekend to throw it up. So speaking of Diamond Sports, how about Kansas baseball this previous weekend? The Jayhawks able to get it done up at ranked Cincinnati. Talk about a great weekend of baseball for the Jayhawks, who came into this weekend, with just a 4-2 record in conference play to begin. Just kind of a middle of the road deal. They were beat by Texas Tech, but then they've picked up some momentum after salvaging a game in that Tech series. They take care of Missouri. They swept Houston, but then they split with Sac State here this middle week last week. And then they got shut out on Friday, 5-0, but they bounced back to win Saturday, 8-2, and Sunday, 13-6. A great weekend there for Kansas baseball as they're able to get it done over Cincinnati. And K-State got in a slugfest with Utah this weekend. They took game 1 on Friday there at the brand new Utah baseball stadium. I forget what that's called. Charlie Montfort Field at America First Ballpark. Sorry, I take that back. They were able to get the win on Friday 8-5, but then in games 2 and 3 of that series, really struggled with pitching and lost 13-11 Saturday and 16-14 on Sunday. Not a great weekend there for K-State baseball. So great weekend for Nebraska and Kansas, a tough weekend there for Kansas State. All right, FB Bank text line, 785-899-2222. Kyle, who I always love getting a text message from. He's got great questions and great thoughts, and particularly about smaller, like Division II stuff. He goes, a question. Has the transfer portal ruined Division II basketball? The MIAA, in particular, has lots of their best players transferring locally. Florida State men and women losing their best players, too. Where is the royalty these days at all? Where is the loyalty these days at all level things? Kyle, thank you for the question. Here's the thing, Kyle. If I think what was it? It's the Grill. Kyle Grill, I think, is the kid who's transferring away from the men's side. There might be more, and we all know that Telexa Weeder is leaving too. But in my opinion, Kyle, personally, I think this is one of the areas where I think the transfer portal is actually kind of cool. There's a great player that was over at Western Colorado in Gunnison, who I think led the nation in scoring at 25 points per game, led D2 in scoring at 25 points per game on the men's side. He's transferring. Yes, it stinks for the MIAA. It stinks for Division II basketball. But a majority of these players, not all, but a majority of them are people that were there for what? Probably 2 or 3 years, I'm guessing. And they're leaving maybe their junior or for maybe 1 or 2 extra years at most is what they're leaving to go try and play at a higher level. I think this is an okay part of the transfer portal. Division II is a great level. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you're a really good player there and you've got that taste like, God, I want to know what I can do at the higher up levels. This is where one area where I don't mind the transfer portal. I used to love the grad transfer rule. I thought that was great. You completed your degree. You could then go anywhere you wanted to without any hindrance. There were some great players that took advantage of that. I think personally, it's kind of cool. I want to see these players that, no offense, when they were in high school, got overlooked. They were not considered good enough for Division I programs. They have gone to Division II, and they have bettered themselves enough to the point to where they may get some looks at the Division I level. And I think that's actually kind of cool, personally. I think it's kind of cool. And guess what? Division II is going to go out, I know it's a lot harder for Division II because they got to go out and they got to pull. They got to go find more players, and they usually have to dig deeper. They got to go find the players that got overlooked and bring those guys, and that's a lot more work than just going to your ESPN top 500 players and trying to go out and recruit. It's more difficult than that. You got to go to more high school games and watch high school film and not go to these AAU whatever games and watch them. It's tougher. It's harder. But at the same time, I think it's kind of cool that players that got overlooked that might have had the skill talent to go and play at a big-time D1 program but got overlooked because, they didn't play big-time high school basketball or something along those lines. I think it's kind of cool. I kind of like that. Now, I'm a little bit more on your side, Kyle. If the player just comes and is there for a year and then leaves after that, I'm a little bit more on your side. If they're there for 2 or 3 years at a spot and then move on, I'm okay with that. I really am. I am okay with that. Because 2 or 3 years anymore, Kyle, and then hitting the portal is actually pretty darn good because you can watch a lot of major college basketball and see players that have gone 4 different places in 5 years or 5 places in 5 years. It's ridiculous. So if you've got a player that's there for 2 or 3 years and then they're going to go try something different for their final year of eligibility or 2, I'm okay with that. So I don't know. I think it's kind of cool because I think if you're really, the guy from Western Colorado was at Fort Hays State, then Western Colorado, now let's go D1. Yeah, I mean, like I said, once again, who knows what happened at Fort Hays State? Why he didn't get a shot or whatever, he didn't get there, he didn't want, went to Western and then got the playing time he needed and then put up the numbers he wanted to try and go D1. Everyone has the goal of one. If you're a great competitor, you want to go to the best. You want to play against the best. You want to be in the best division. You want to do all that stuff. And if you have the means and with all to be able to go and improve your stock at a lower level and move your way up, I'm okay with that. Rob wants to know, will Telex Sweeter have 1 more year of eligibility or more? I think she only has 1, Rob. I think she's only got 1. I think. I could be wrong. She might have 2, but I think she's only got 1. So I could be wrong on that, but I think it's only 1 year for Telexa Weeder. So thank you, Kyle, for that question. I get the point. You want to see great. I agree with you. You want to see your players stick there and come in, develop, and graduate all in the same place. You want to see that. That's awesome. That's just not college athletics nowadays, unfortunately. It's just not. So hopefully you get them for 2 or 3 years. They get to go on and they get to try and prove themselves at the next level, which I'm actually becoming more okay with. All right, 7:31 Mountain, 8:31 Central Time. We got to get to break. We come back. We'll get to losers of the weekend. No guest today. We're scheduled to have Joe Tillery. He is having some health. He's under the weather today, so we will just move on without him. But we'll get to weekend losers coming up next on a Monday edition of the Morning Blitz.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
You can feel it in the air. Longer days, greener lawns, and plenty of projects waiting around the house. Good thing Hoover Lumber-Ace Hardware in Goodland has you covered. Freshen up your home with Benjamin Moore paint, tackle the yard with powerful Ego battery tools, and give your lawn the boost it needs with Stage 1 Ultimate Fertilizer. Thinking about cooking outside? Check out their great selection of grills, griddles, smokers, and outdoor living essentials. And remember, if you need it, Hoover Lumber-Ace Hardware probably has it. They even have milk. Hoover Lumber-Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your place for just about everything.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
On the overnights last night, corn traded lower 3/4 at 4.61. July corn down a cent at 4.72 1/4. September down 1.5 at 4.74 1/2. December corn down 2.5 at 4.87 1/2. Soybeans, the May contract traded higher 3 1/4 on the overnights at 11.62 3/4. July soybeans up 3 1/4 at 11.78 3/4. August beans up 2 3/4 at 11.73 1/2. Kansas City wheat down 9 1/4 on the overnights. The May contract at 6.23 1/2. The July contract down 10 1/4 at 6.37 1/4. September down 10 cents at 6.51. December down 10 cents at 6.68 1/2. Chicago soft wheat down 6 cents at 5.99 1/2. July contract down 5 1/4 at 6.11 1/4. September down 5 3/4 at 6.23 1/4. December down 5.5 at 6.40 3/4. On the global markets this morning, the Dow up 376 at 45,800. The S&P up 55 at 6,467. Gold higher $114 an ounce at 4,606. Silver up $1.90 at $71.70. Crude oil up 57 cents at $100.21. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call, 970-744-4484, our Overland Park office at 913-748-3000, or our Ulysses, Kansas office at 602-356-7800.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
If you're buying or selling cattle, make your first stop livestockmarket.com. Bred cows, heifers, pairs, bulls and frozen genetics, even feeder calves. You'll find them all at livestockmarket.com. Livestock Market features private treaty sales, online auctions, and live production sale bidding. You'll also find horses, sheep, goats, and hay. Check out the free Livestock Market magazine wherever you pick up Tractor House and download the Livestock Market mobile app today.
At Thrasher Foundation Repair, we promise you an experience so remarkable, you'll want to leave us a 5-star review. From wet basements to bowing walls, sinking concrete to nasty crawl spaces, whatever your home's facing, you can count on Thrasher to fix it right. With over 34,000 5-star reviews and 50 years as a local family-owned company, Thrasher is a name homeowners trust. Schedule your free home inspection today at gothrasher.com. Thrasher.
You're listening to the High Plains only local sports talk show.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
The Morning Blitz.
All right, 7:36 Mountain, 8:36 Central Time on a Monday. Once again, no guests today, so we will roll along with Weekend Losers in just a matter of seconds. We'll get to leftovers, a few cool story notes to get to in that as well. FB Bank text line remains open, 785-899-2222 if you want to be part of the Morning Blitz. So we got to get to FB Bank text line here out of the break. Both Jared and unnamed texter want to throw Carlos Estevez, closer for the Royals, under the bus. The blown save on Saturday, I think it was, right, gentlemen? I think it was Saturday. The Royals up 2-0, and Estevez gives up a walk-off grand slam. They end up losing 6-2 when it's all said and done. So Carlos Estevez, a loser of the weekend, not only for one, but for two. unnamed texter able to give his stat line: 1/3 of an inning worked, a 162.00 ERA, and a blown save. Overall, it was not a great weekend for our regional professional baseball teams. I mean, the Royals shut out on Friday, have a lead Saturday, blow that thing, and then were able to get salvage a game on Sunday. And for Colorado, more on that in a little bit. It was worse. It wasn't even any better. So continuing here on the show with our weekend losers. Let's see here. One more thing for the FB Bank text line. Kyle says he's manifesting Telexa Weeder to go be an Oklahoma State Cowgirl with former Northwest Kansas star J.C. Hoyt, the run and gun shoot style. Along with the Northwest Kansas connection, would be cool to see. I have no idea. I have no insider information whatsoever, but it wouldn't shock me one bit if we see that happen. Personally, I feel like it feels like it'd be a good fit for all parties personally, but we'll see. I don't know. Weekend losers here on the Morning Blitz. Well, there's not a bigger loser on the weekend than Duke basketball. That's right, Luke. Duke, of course, if you didn't see it, you have to go pull it up. In fact, you can watch it on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream if you want to. I think I actually have an audio with it. Here was the final play in the last 10 seconds of the Duke UConn game, the last spot on the line to go to the Final Four. Duke, by the way, led by 19 at one point in time in the game and 15 at half. And it came down to the final play.
72-70, Duke, 10 seconds to go. Got to cut and run through the ball, and who better than this guy? Get it into Boozer, back for Sarr, ahead, Boozer, that ball deflected and stolen by Mullins. Caravan, 2 seconds, Mullins tosses it up. Oh! It's good! We're pulling through!
And because of that, that was the end of the year for Duke. Braylon Mullins with a 35-footer. With 0.3 seconds left, it goes through the netting, and Duke once again had the largest halftime lead by a number 1 seed, and to blow it, 15 points at halftime, led by 19 at one point in time, ends up losing there on that last second 35-foot three-pointer, sending UConn to the Final Four once again. Dan Hurley with an unbelievable reaction. The reactions were amazing. Honestly, you got to go back and watch the reactions. First and foremost, Dan Hurley standing there and then just going, he's always mad about something, Dan Hurley is, but for him to be as excited and as jubilant as he was, understandably so. But that was amazing to see. Dan Hurley, how excited he was, his staff, his bench, the faces on that bench. In contrast, the Duke bench, John Shire, like, oh my gosh, when you get a hand in the face, oh, boom, and then just the complete the disbelief look, had to turn away. And then the broadcast, I mean, Raftery and Grant Hill, who is a Duke guy, obviously, to see their reactions, that all went down was just nuts. As someone joked on social, we just about lost Raftery, just about died on the spot. He was in shock of what happened. It was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Your guy was cruising down, watching that game, and it was like 19 points. I'm thinking, golly, I'm going to have a perfect Final Four in my bracket. A perfect Final Four. And here comes UConn storming back. I saw a tweet from our good friend of the program, Riley Gates. He said, I'll see if I can pull this up. I got to find this thing. I have actually looked at it since it actually happened. So this might actually get me laughing more because he'll just have a meltdown. But I got to find this tweet because he said, gosh, what was this? Oh, after last year's Final Four disaster, nothing is over. This was at halftime. Nothing is over until it's over. 20 more minutes like that, Duke, is what he said. He's kind of a Duke fan. And to see that just completely melt down, I don't know. It's kind of funny. It's kind of sad for Duke fans, but it's also kind of funny at the same time. A big takeaway for me personally on this game. Not only was it the great resiliency of UConn, but I think it's a storyline that it's becoming more and more prevalent over years and years, particularly with NIL and transfer portal and multi-million-dollar rosters in college basketball. And not saying that Duke is all this, but you can't have a team predominantly of freshmen anymore. You can't do this. Not saying Duke was entirely freshman, but a majority of their key pieces on the floor when that whole thing fell apart were freshmen. The Boozer boys, Dame Sarr. There were plenty of, there's another guy out there too. They had about 4 or 5 guys that played significant minutes for Duke this year that were true freshmen. They had another senior and another junior that played significant minutes, but most of them were true freshmen. If you look around the Final Four, you're going to see a lot of teams that have some freshmen. About on average, around 2 or 3 guys that are true freshmen that come in and play significant minutes and do make significant impacts. Not going to say you can't have freshmen. That's not true. You can have freshmen play in college athletics. You can certainly have them. They can make a massive impact. But you've got, in this day and era where guys are hanging around longer, you've got to have some people out there with some experience and some age on them. There's, you look at Illinois, they've got like 4 or 5 juniors and a couple seniors. Michigan's got multiple juniors and a couple seniors. Arizona's got a couple juniors and a couple seniors. Yes, they have freshmen and sophomores. They've got some young guys out on the floor. Don't get me wrong. Not saying you can't do it anymore with freshmen. But to have your team be mostly freshmen, which Duke has been for the last handful of years and kind of always has been, and for reasons, understand, they've got high academic standards and stuff, and you got to get the right kids in there to do it. At the same time, you want to have guys that are older, guys that know the situation. I mean, you just saw what happened in those final 10 seconds. The ball was inbounded. Duke did a great job of breaking the press. But Camden Boozer lost his mind and thought, I got to get this ball out of here before we get a 10 second go. You just hold on to the ball, son. They're going to have to foul you. There are 10 seconds left. Know the situation. There are less than 10 seconds left. You have the ball in bounds. You can just hold it right now in the backcourt, and they'll have to foul you. You can't even get a 10-second call on you. Hold on to the ball. Instead, you get a freshman mistake. I got to get the ball in my hands. And you throw it, and it's deflected. A steal. A transition deep 3, and your season's over. Just like that, in the blink of an eye. Old teams win the big games, and you're seeing teams that have a great mix of old and new, and you can't just have a bunch of kids and new. I'm not saying that's the biggest reason why Duke lost. I'm not. But I do believe when you look across the entire landscape of college athletics, you can throw football in this, anything. Guys are sticking around, and girls are sticking around longer because they're making better money in college than they may not be good enough to play pro or whatever. And so you're seeing these older guys stick around, and they know what to do in these situations. They know how to win close games. They've been there before. And so it's harder to win when you have a team that is made up of a majority of freshmen. That's hard. And so Duke basketball, first loser of the weekend. Gosh, and so close. Your boy was so close to a perfect Final Four. So close. But had a perfect Final Four. Still feel good about my national championship game. I got Arizona, Illinois playing for a national championship with Arizona winning it. So we'll see. More losers of the weekend here on this Monday morning show. How about SEC basketball, a loser of the weekend? So I was on the show when the bracket came out, and I was kind of like, why does the SEC get 10 teams in? Now, our good friend Sam Hadfield of 801 Bracketology was kind enough to say he thought that was the right move. He thought the SEC deserved the most teams in, despite not really having. Florida had a really good year. Everyone else was just kind of okay. Vanderbilt had a good year. And there were a few teams, but there were some others like, I don't know, they just beat up on each other. Had the most teams in the tournament, but did not have a single one back in the Final Four. And talking about the Elite Eight games, of the Sweet 16 games that the SEC played in, they lost 3 of those 4 games by double digits. It wasn't even close. Now, Texas, who was one of the last teams to get in, had probably one of the more competitive games of the SEC in the Sweet 16 when they pushed Purdue to the limit. But you had 10 teams in. You don't have a single one in the Final Four. I mean, the odds say you have the most teams, you probably have the best chance of making a deep postseason run. It did not happen. So SEC basketball taking a little bit of a hit to that ego. And the SEC has got to be really, really feeling bad because, in football, they used to win national championships every single year. The Big Ten has won the last 3. In basketball, they had set a record for the most teams in the NCAA tournament. I think it was with 14 or something like that. This year they get 10. They still have the most, but they don't make the Final Four. Last year, of course, they did win the national championship. I get that. But slowly but surely, you're seeing the SEC ego take a bit of a hit because they're not getting the success that they are used to having across lots of different sports. It's kind of interesting. SEC basketball lose the weekend. Not saying that they had a bad tournament, because they didn't. They had a lot of teams advance to the second weekend, but you should have, because you had the most out of the entire tournament. But not to get one in the Final Four, that one hurts. That one stings a little bit, I'm sure, for SEC basketball, who considers itself, once again, the best conference in the entire nation. Let's see here. Anything from the FB Bank text line real quickly. Officer Jared saying, what an amazing win for UConn. It was amazing, Jared. It was absolutely nuts. I still can't believe what actually happened in that game. And my final loser of the weekend, National League West Baseball. It was not a good weekend for the NL West, people. It was bad. Yes, the Dodgers went 3-0, and by God, the Dodgers should win 120 games this year. They're loaded. They've got everything you could ever want. If they can stay healthy, they can do that. But as a division, even with that 3-0 start for the Dodgers, the National League West went a combined 4-11. That means on opening weekend, there was just one other win from one other team in the National League West. It was the Padres. They got one of those wins. But Arizona, Colorado, and San Francisco went a combined 0 for 9 on opening weekend. Starting with the Rockies, tough weekend for them because I don't think they were bad by any means. In Miami taking on the Marlins, the problem is they didn't get it done. The pitching was really good. Pitching was pretty darn good. Minus, of course, the Waka, the Victor Vodnik getting lit up in that game yesterday. I mean, the Rockies were up 3-0. Miami came back. A guy got on base in the bottom of the ninth for Miami, and they had a double play ball where it was a line drive to the first baseman, made the catch, stepped on first, 2 gone. Well, a guy gets on base, standing at second base, the tying run, and a guy hits a walk-off homer for the Marlins in improbable fashion to get the sweep over the Rockies. Pitching was pretty darn good, minus that relief appearance from Victor Vodnik. Offense, though, quite poor for the Rockies. Quite poor. They are hitting, as a team, after the first weekend, right at the Mendoza line, 200. So, not that it's a shocker. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a shocker, but a tough weekend there for the Rockies. They start 0-3, but hey, they're not the only teams tied for dead last in their division. Arizona, my Diamondbacks, had leads against the Dodgers, but lost. San Francisco and new head coach Tony Vitello go 0 for 3 in there. 0-9. The NL West 4-11. 4-11 on opening weekend, and the Dodgers went 3-0. Who knows? This is usually a very competitive, very good division. It did not look like it in the first weekend of the season. And we talked on the Royals 1-2 weekend in Atlanta. I had a chance to go 2-1, but a blown save there by Carlos Estevez, and so tough one there for sure for Royals fans. I saw a lot of. And Royals fans, I mean, were you able to watch any of the games? Because, boy, there were a lot of people mad about how they couldn't watch the games. I saw a lot of posts about that, how they couldn't find a way to watch the Royals play this weekend. Maybe I'm wrong on that. You'll have to let me know. But, yeah, there you go. Losers of the weekend. Joining the SEC basketball and Duke basketball would be the National League West. Whew, it was bad. You throw Tiger Woods in there, too, as well, on a loser of the weekend. Tiger Woods, another DUI, and rolled another vehicle. I mean, when I saw that news come out that he had rolled a vehicle, and I think it was on Friday, wasn't it? He had rolled, he got really badly injured in rolling a vehicle in California. Now he rolled another vehicle here while he was driving. It's been a tough go for Tiger. Been a very tough go for Tiger. It's been quite a fall from grace for Tiger Woods, for sure. You could throw him in the loser of the weekend as well. All right, let's get to our final break. When we return, we will have some leftovers to get to here on the Morning Blitz and wrap up a Monday show. You're listening to The Blitz.
From drive-through banking to mobile deposit, we make it easy to get things done on your schedule. Banking should fit your life, not the other way around. This is Jessica Von Lintel at F&B Bank. Banking made simple.
In a small town, your banker should know more than just your account number. They should know your name. At F&B Bank, we believe in real conversations, friendly faces, and decisions made right here at home. I'm Paige Sneathen, Vice President at FNB Bank, and we're proud to serve your family like our own. Member FDIC.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
When you gotta go, but there's nowhere to go, who you gonna call? Topside Portables and Pumping, that's who. Weddings, job sites, farm parties, they've got clean, reliable porta potties that don't stink, literally. And if your septic tank smells worse than last year's chili cook-off, they'll pump it out fast. No mess, no fuss. Family-owned, Heartland values, always ready. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. When duty calls, they answer.
This is Danny Zwaggart with the Schooler Company. Since your crops are the most essential part of the global supply chain, let us help be your strategic marketing partner. Whether it's an extra truck at harvest, marketing your on-farm storage, or asking us about our unique risk management solutions, we have the tools to help you navigate these ever-changing markets. We are partners in helping your operation run as smooth as possible, and our local merchandisers are deeply knowledgeable about supply and demand and the current market movements. So give Schooler a call today at 785-890-3639.
Kansas City Royals baseball is back on AM 790 KXXX. Follow every pitch, every home run, and every thrilling moment of the season right here.
Salvi drills it. No doubt about it. It's a home run.
From opening day to the final out, we bring you all the action from the boys in blue, live and local on AM 790 KXXX. Kansas City Royals baseball on AM 790 KXXX is brought to you by
Colby Glass, FNB Bank, The Bottle Gallery, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, Farmers and Merchants Bank, and Logan County Health Services.
Boy, howdy, are we in the big travel season. Have peace of mind that trained and certified crews from S&M Towing, Recovery and Repair stand by round the clock, ready to help you. The Tri-State area rely on these teams from Goodland, Burlington, Colby, and Oakley. When troubles arise, get roadside assistance, towing, and recovery anytime, any size. Call 785-899-5423, 899-5423.
Want to be part of the Morning Blitz?
Sometime I'll give you a piece of my mind, like right now.
Send your thoughts to the FNB Bank text line at 785-899-2222.
All right, continuing along here on the Morning Blitz. Don't forget that our NWKS radio auction is coming up here on Friday, April 17th. That's going to be 2 weeks from this coming Friday. We've got our radio auction coming up live on all 4 of our radio stations. You can go to NWKSradio.net here shortly to find a complete list of auction items. We'll be filling those in throughout the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to lie, still working on getting items in and getting the paperwork done. But just put on your calendar, April 17th, that is the radio auction day. You want to make sure that you are ready to be able to buy and get some great deals on things happening with our NWKS radio auction, one of our more popular events and full days of radio you'll find in the area. Okay, in the leftovers real quickly, Colby High School softball team played on Friday in their season opening series. I believe it was down at Lakin. Lady Eagles get a sweep. They take game 1 7-3 and then follow that up with a 14-0 shutout win in game number 2. So Lady Eagles off to a 2-0 start. It is Colby and Goodland in softball on Tuesday here in Goodland, and we are planning to have coverage of that right here on Rocket 102.5. Florida State Northwest softball dropped both of its games Saturday at home to Butler, 17-2 and 16-1. Both those games are over in 5. The Lady Tigers have lost 24 in a row. They are scheduled to play at McPherson College this afternoon. So you've got 42nd Northwest softball at McPherson, and you've got Colby Community College baseball at home hosting McCook, the two really local sporting events happening today. Minus, of course, the Royals on AM 790 KXXX. They are at home for their home opener. That is an early first pitch time of 3:10 Central. Chris Bubich on the mound for Kansas City on AM 790 KXXX as they open up against the Twins. And the Rockies still on the road. They head to Toronto for an opening series. I think what was that I saw? Was it the Toronto Blue Jays starting rotation set a record for the most strikeouts in an opening weekend series or something like that? Something along those lines. It was a ridiculous stat. But Colorado heading to Toronto to take on the Blue Jays. Tomoyuki Sugano, one of the off-season signings for the Rockies, will make his debut tonight on the mound for Colorado. So that's what's left over. That's what's all part of the leftovers. We got one more to get to here, but we'll do that in the walk-off.
And back lifts his ball high and deep to right. How about a walk-off Brady? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
In the walk-off, want to give this past weekend, a little bit of a shout-out here. It was state powerlifting. State powerlifting took place here this previous weekend. Shout out to Goodland Cowboy Gavin Price. At 198 pounds, he was your state champion. He did 330 pounds on bench, 315 pounds on the clean, a 525 squat, for a total of 1,170 pounds for Gavin Price. By the way, the clean and the squat and the total were all personal records for him, but Gavin Price at 198 pounds, lifting 1,170 total pounds to win the state championship at state powerlifting at 198 pounds. So congratulations to Gavin. That is an impressive feat, young man. I remember one time the kids were, it was a year ago, the kids were walking. I was working in my yard, and the kids came up and they were supposed to walk around town and do these challenges, and one of them was like, and they came up and said, can we arm wrestle you as part of a challenge? And Gavin Price is the one that was going to arm wrestle me. And there was a moment I thought, he's going to snap my arm. It's going to be one of those videos where it's going to snap, and then it's going to be embarrassing. Luckily, that did not happen, but I absolutely got beaten by Gavin Price, and with good reason. I can't lift 330 pounds on bench. It's way too much for me. All right, that does it for the program today. Thanks to all you listening. Thanks for chiming in on the F&B Bank text line. Appreciate your contributions throughout the show. All the way, Jared. By the way, Jared H. did respond. He said, yes, I was able to watch the Rose on both MLB TV and Fox. Good to hear. Good to hear, Jared. All right. Have a great Monday. We're back tomorrow on a Tuesday. Hope you'll join us. It's been the Blitz.